I mean, it was just more of a quality of life kind of thing, right? Just living in Berlin, no more problems, no more delays, no more tiredness because people's sleeping schedules are getting a bit weird. So we just cut that out, just focus on performance. But it's definitely a lot better for us. It's a lot more, I guess you're living in the same house together now, so everyone's a lot more close, I suppose. And yeah, everyone's a lot more relaxed.
Hey Darius!
I swear to God, if you talk to me again before I had my morning coffee...
Dude, calm down, man, calm down! Brain effect awake for a perfect dose of caffeine.
Hello everyone, this is Darius from the Shotcaller, joined by Caedrel from Excel after a win against Rogue. A bit of an unexpected win, or were you guys confident going into the match that you would take it home?
Well, we researched Rogue a lot and we noticed how they won games, and it's always when they have a really strong jungle champ, and their only wins are when he's playing Olaf. So, I mean, once we ban away Olaf, I think he has a few champion pool issues and maybe lack of confidence on what he's playing. So we knew if we targeted jungle and we just played out the lanes accordingly, we would get an advantage. So, I mean, getting an advantage for us has always been a thing. Just closing out games has been a struggle, but this time we managed to do it, thank God.
This time, thank God, you guys did manage to do just that. Now, that said, still the table situation for Excel isn't, of course, looking too nicely. But Excel has improved massively over the past few weeks. What were some of the issues that the team faced early on in the split that you have now looked at fixing and hopefully are in the process of fixing, as shown by this one today?
Yeah, well, I think the problem that we've had throughout the split in the year is we've had about 4 or 5 different roster iterations. So the problem is we've been swapping in and out players quite consistently, where that can actually affect practice a lot. And once you get into habits with certain players, those habits disappear when others are swapped in. Right. So I think when, for example, when Special was playing the week 1, we'd been practicing with him for 3 weeks, so we kind of got adjusted to how his playstyle was. And then Mickey came in and it was completely different. And then the last few weeks, I think Mickey's been helping us a lot. He's been teaching Mystiques and Jessica a lot about how to move around the map, where we struggle in mid-game, and how to link me and Mystiques up a lot more. But I think we had a few problems with just being on the same page. It's like a small thing that can turn into a big problem, right? So if people go to different sides of the map, it can cause everything to go to like pear-shaped, which is what happened in our games, like against Fnatic and Origin and stuff. It's always been like, okay, we're winning, but we're not really playing as a team. So yeah, now we're playing more as a team, it feels like.
Right, and it definitely feels that way from the outside as well, which is a positive thing. That said, of course, playoffs looks like a very hard to reach goal at this point.
I did the math. We have to play against every team apart from Rogue and Schalke. So it's 7 games, and we can only lose 1 of them. So
yeah. If at all, to be fair, because 9-9 isn't guaranteed yet.
Yeah, I mean, I remember last split 8-10 was tiebreaker for playoffs, I think. So 8-10, we're already 2-9. So and we've got G2, Origin, Fnatic. So I mean, it's maybe like a 5% chance we can make it, but I mean, I'll keep trying regardless if we can make it or not.
Right. You keep trying until it's mathematically impossible, exactly, effectively. Yeah. So that said, after a year with Excel, almost a year, but like 1.5 splits, let's say, what were some of the key things that you learned about yourself and working in this environment? Because obviously, I get to talk with a lot of winners and a lot of people that go to international events and get to play in front of hundreds of thousands of people. But it must be a bit more difficult for you, of course, being one of the consistently, in my opinion, best performance on the team. But of course, the wins are not coming in. How have you been able to keep your mental game, but also how have you tried to maneuver the team into a way that success would come eventually?
Yeah, it's a tough state to be in, I suppose. Well, for example, for me, I've only been playing jungle in a total now for about a year and 3 months or so. So it's not like I came into this year expecting to be the best jungler in the world. I mean, once I re-rolled and I got to rank 1 and I was really confident in my play, I knew that something was there. And then when I joined H2K to get them some wins, I knew that playing on stage and playing against these LEC junglers, it was really doable for me. And then in the first couple of weeks of spring, I really felt confident and I was really finding my footing. We really weren't finding our footing as a team. We had even in spring, we had roster swaps. We had so many issues with being on the same page and things just weren't coming together for us. It felt like maybe 1 week it would and then the next week it would just collapse. But I've never really had that consistent win-lose scenario where it's like you're consistently doing well in every part of the game in a sense, right? So I mean, for me, it's just mentally it's draining, I think. After the last split, I was quite drained. I suppose picking up a couple of wins at the end of the split was nice for me. it's hard to lose because you really want to. I'm so desperate to win and like play international, and like it's just a dream of mine to just play that, right? I like dropped everything, and when I used to play mid lane just to find like an extra 5% of performance out of myself, and I really think that I'm pushing myself every day. So I feel like I really want to win, but I'm also realistic in a sense as well. So I can't just be like let my emotions take over and be like, okay, everyone's just like playing bad and I'm playing bad, and just go FF kind of, right? Just have to stay mentally strong and just like give it your all, because I just think of great players like, for example, Jankos or Max or anything. When they were in their prime, they were also like a couple of years before that, they were not exactly like superstars or anything. Their first year might have not been like a top 4 finish. So I mean, some people do come into the LEC and they hit top 4 instantly, like Caps, for example, or Reckless when they had their first debuts, they were just popping off, right? So my first year of debut, I mean, I would hope that I would make playoffs, but making playoffs is kind of hard when you're a rookie, I suppose. But just being realistic with yourself is something that's really important, I think.
Right, so still having a positive attitude, of course, keeping the positive attitude, but also being able to reflect on your own performance, very important. That said, I feel like also Expect has been playing very well. You mentioned how Mickey has helped out the bot lane in particular. Of course, Mickey was a transfer that a lot of people trash talk before he actually got to play. Would you like to elaborate a bit on how he's helped the team a bit more?
Yeah, no, well, for example, for me as well, I was a bit skeptical about Mickey, you know, because once I heard that he'd been signed, I knew that the only thing I knew about him was obviously the memes and stuff, you know. So my first impression was like, well, maybe he's going to rage quit or maybe he's going to be toxic. But I mean, it's been 3 or 4 weeks now, and him and Dan have been talking Korean in games, so that helps the side lanes a lot. And I think he's been playing LCK, and he was on Afrika, he was on APK, and he was on really good teams in Korea. And he's been playing with really good players. So he can help me a lot with my jungle pathing, because he used to play with players like Lyra in their prime and stuff. So he really knows on jungle quite well. And he understands the game quite well as well. So when it comes to reviews, I expected toxicity or negativity in the game, right? Or like this booking flight home meme and stuff, you know. But actually, he's really productive. I mean, he does have his days where he gets frustrated, which I think everyone does. But I think after the game, he's really helping me, Jessler, Mystiques especially, just telling us where we should move, what we should think about when we're doing certain things. And even though his English isn't the greatest, he really tries his hardest, because for him it's a bit hard as well, right? Because he's in a foreign league, far away from home, and everyone's memeing him, right? So there's a lot of pressure on him, and he deals with it really well. And I think that's something I admire about him. He really doesn't care about anyone's opinion, and he really wants to win, and he'll do everything in his power to help you win, regardless of how frustrated he gets. So, I mean, it's a really good player to have on your team. I think he's actually a really good teammate so far, and yeah, I really respect him.
Lots of hope, of course, also for 2020 potentially. You guys have now started to stay in Berlin, as far as I've been told, changing from the plans of flying in between and stuff. That didn't seem to work as well as it was intended, of course, originally. Did that help you boost for this week's performance as well?
Well, it's not really Excel's fault, the things that happened. The first 3 weeks we were flying back and forth, but like the first week there was thunderstorms in Berlin. The second week our flights got cancelled. The third week our flights delayed by like 6 hours. So there was weekends where we would come in on the Friday at 6 a.m. and we'd land and go to sleep, and then we'd play that same day. So, I mean, it was just more of a quality of life kind of thing, right? Just living in Berlin, no more problems, no more delays, no more tiredness, because people's sleeping schedules are getting a bit weird. So we just cut that out, just focus on performance. But it's definitely a lot better for us. It's a lot more, I guess you're living in the same house together now, so everyone's a lot more close, I suppose. And yeah, everyone's a lot more relaxed.
Okay, so that's a positive takeaway from that whole situation, at least. That said, is there anything you would like to say to the Excel fans watching up until here?
Well, I've said it many times this year, and I'm like, inside it hurts me for the losses that we've had. Obviously, our performances have been okay, but what matters at the end of the day is like who wins, I guess. So we're not winning, and we might start winning, and hopefully you support us when we do start winning. But I think this split, we're going to try our best to pick up some wins. But hopefully next year, we are definitely a top-tier contender.
Very excited for that. And a hashtag for the people that watch until the end?
Hashtag Thrive Together.
Hashtag Thrive Together, keeping it on with the Excel brand. Thank you so much, Caedrel, for your time. Make sure to follow him on Twitter, of course. This was Darius from the Shotcaller, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye. We'd especially like to thank Krzysztof Bujnowicz, Thomas Göttel, Etienne, Erich Althaus, Lukas Legal, Lazy Raven,
Lama Vyuta, and Adam Novosviat for your very special support, and of course also all the people whose names you see scrolling past you. Without you guys, we would have closed down probably a while ago. So thank you so much for your help. Thank you.